My name is Alyssa Monroe, and I learned the hardest lesson of my life in a courtroom that smelled like dust and old wood, while the two people who raised me sat on one side pretending nothing was wrong. If you have ever trusted someone so deeply that you could not even imagine them betraying you, then you already know how dangerous that kind of trust can be. Parents are supposed to be the safest people in the world. Mine taught me to tell the truth, to be fair, to work hard, and to never take advantage of anyone. They forgot to follow their own rules. It started quietly. Betrayal rarely kicks down the door at first. It whispers. It shows up in small comments, in strange timing, in things left unsaid. My parents invited me over for Sunday dinner, which was not unusual, but there was something in my mom's voice when she called. A tightness. A softness with edges. She said she missed me, that it had been too long. It had been 3 weeks. Not that long. When I pulled into the driveway of the house I grew up in, everything looked the same. The same oak tree in the front yard. The same little crack in the front steps that Dad always said he would fix and never did. The same worn welcome mat Mom refused to throw away. Inside, it smelled like roasted chicken and garlic, my favorite. A part of me relaxed at that smell. It felt familiar, comforting, like the past before life got complicated. My dad greeted me with his usual half hug and a pat on the shoulder. My mom fussed over whether I was eating enough. All the usual things. But under all of it, something was different. They kept looking at each other in that way people do when they are bracing for a conversation. We sat down at the table, said grace, and passed the dishes around. It was about halfway through the meal, when everything felt almost normal, that my dad set his fork down and cleared his throat. That sound alone made my stomach tighten. Whenever Dad cleared his throat like that, it meant we were about to talk about something serious. I glanced at Mom. She was staring at him, her fingers locked around her water glass. "We need to talk to you about the estate," he said. The word sat between us like a heavy object. Estate. It made everything sound more dramatic than it was. In reality, it was the house, a small lake cabin my dad inherited from his uncle, some savings, a few investments he was proud of, and a modest life insurance plan. Nothing billionaire level, but it was a lifetime of their work. It mattered. "Okay," I said slowly. "What about it?" My mom smiled in this almost forced way, like she was trying to make it sound like a good thing. "Your father and I have been meeting with a planner at the bank. We just wanted to make sure everything is handled. You know, if anything happens, we do not want you to worry." My chest warmed a little. That sounded reasonable. Responsible. I nodded. That makes sense. Then Dad added, "We decided we can handle the estate alone. You do not need to be involved in the details. We want to keep things simple." Something about the way he said that made the food in my mouth taste different. I swallowed slowly. "What do you mean, I do not need to be involved?" Mom jumped in quickly. "We do not want to burden you. You have your own life in the city. Your job, your apartment, your friends. We do not want you to stress over paperwork and legal stuff. We talked it through, and we agreed. We can handle the estate alone." Her tone was soft, but the words hit like a slap. I had never asked to be involved. I had never demanded to know every detail. But being told I did not need to know anything felt different. It felt like I had been gently pushed out of a room I did not even know I had left. I asked a few polite questions. They gave me vague answers. I did not like how rehearsed it sounded. When I asked what would happen to the house, my childhood home, Mom said, "It is all taken care of, honey. You do not have to worry." Over and over again, that phrase. You do not have to worry. Like a lullaby meant to keep me asleep while something happened in the dark. I tried to dismiss the feeling, but it lingered. Weeks passed. Whenever I tried to bring it up, they shut it down gently. My dad would say, "It is just forms. It is nothing you need to think about." My mom once laughed and said, "You will know everything when you need to. Some things are better left to the parents." That one stuck under my skin. Better left to the parents. I was 32, not 12. But I let it go on the surface, because I did not want to be dramatic. Deep down, though, I knew something was off. The truth came in the most official way possible. A letter. A white envelope with the county seal in the corner and my name neatly printed above my address. I thought it was a jury duty summons at first. I tossed it on the counter and almost forgot about it. Later that night, while I waited for my pasta to boil, I ripped it open casually. By the time the water started to bubble, I was no longer breathing normally. The letter was from the probate division of the county court. It explained that a petition had been filed regarding the transfer and restructuring of my parents' estate. It listed assets, house, cabin, accounts. It listed names. My parents. And another one. A beneficiary I did not expect. My younger brother, you might think. I do not have one. An older sister. I do not have that either. The name printed clearly as the primary beneficiary was my cousin, Madison Ward. I read it 3 times, my eyes burning a little more every time. Madison. The cousin who never called unless she needed money or a place to crash. The cousin who made jokes about my parents being old-fashioned. The cousin who bragged about not working real jobs because she was always in between opportunities. The one my parents bailed out twice with quiet loans that were never repaid. The letter went on to explain that because I was the direct heir and next of kin, the court required either my participation or my signed waiver, acknowledging that I was aware of the changes and did not contest them. There it was. In simple, unforgiving legal language. The judge needed my signature. I stood frozen in my tiny kitchen, the sound of boiling water hissing behind me like background noise from a different universe. My parents had looked me in the eyes, told me they would handle the estate alone. Told me I did not need to be involved. Meanwhile they had been quietly trying to shift everything we had, everything they built, everything that was supposed to be my safety net, toward Madison. My first reaction was disbelief. There had to be an explanation. Maybe it was a temporary arrangement. Maybe I was misunderstanding. Maybe there were extra details the letter did not cover. I picked up my phone and called my mother. She answered on the 3rd ring, sounding cheerful. "Sweetie, I was thinking of you this morning." I did not play along. I asked her about the petition. The estate. Madison. The judge who wanted my signature. The silence that followed was thick and heavy. Then she said my name quietly. "Alyssa." My dad got on the line. His voice was tired. "We were going to tell you." "When?" I asked. "After I signed. After the hearing. After you gave everything away." He flinched at my tone. I could hear it even through the phone. "Your mother and I thought this through," he said slowly. "Madison has had a hard life. She does not have your opportunities. You are established. You have a career. A stable income. We wanted to help her." "At my expense," I said. "You wanted to help her at my expense. By cutting me out and hoping I never found out." My mom jumped in. "No one is cutting you out. We always assumed you would be fine. You have always been fine." That sentence dug into me more than anything. You have always been fine. It was the curse of being the strong one. The responsible one. The good daughter. You become invisible. People assume you will keep surviving no matter what they take from you. I did not shout. I did not cry. Not yet. I simply said, "We will talk at the hearing," and hung up. In the weeks that followed, everything inside me hardened and softened at the same time. Hardened in resolve. Softened in grief. I grieved the parents I thought I had. The ones who would never blindside their own child this way. I replayed every family dinner, every holiday, wondering when they started seeing me as the safe sacrifice, the logical person to push aside. I wondered if they had always planned to do this, or if it was a slow slide into something ugly wrapped in good intentions. The day of the hearing was warm and bright, the kind of day that would have been perfect for a picnic if it was not the day my family cracked in half. The courthouse was cooler inside, all marble floors and echoing footsteps. I wore a simple navy dress and low heels, nothing dramatic, just enough that I felt put together and steady. My parents were already seated at one of the benches when I arrived. Madison sat with them, looking uncomfortable in a blazer she clearly borrowed. She glanced at me, then looked away. Guilt shows up in the smallest details. We did not hug. We did not greet each other like family. We nodded, like strangers pretending to be polite. When the clerk called our case, we filed into the small courtroom. The judge was an older woman with silver hair pulled into a bun and glasses perched on the end of her nose. She flipped through the file with the efficiency of someone who has seen every kind of family disaster there is. She read out loud what had been filed: the petition to transfer primary ownership of the main residence, the lake cabin, and certain accounts to Madison Ward. She stated that the biological child, me, had been notified and was present. Then she looked up. "Miss Monroe, do you consent to these changes? Have you signed the waiver?" For a second, the room seemed to shrink. I could feel my parents' eyes on me. Madison twisted the edge of her sleeve. I stood up. "No, Your Honor. I do not consent." My mother gasped quietly. My father shifted in his seat. Madison's face drained of color. I continued, because the anger in me had finally found a purpose. I was not informed of these changes until the court notified me. I was told by my parents that they would handle the estate alone, and that I did not need to be involved. What they did not mention was that they were attempting to move everything to a third party behind my back. I am their only child. I have not been estranged. I have not abandoned them. I have supported them. This is not about helping a struggling relative. This is about taking from one child to give to someone else without transparency. The judge watched me calmly, nodding slowly. "Thank you, Miss Monroe." She turned to my parents. "Is what she is saying accurate? Did you attempt to restructure your estate without fully informing your daughter?" My dad opened his mouth, closed it, then finally said, "We did not think she would mind." I laughed once. It slipped out sharp. "You did not think I would mind being erased?" The judge raised a hand slightly and the room fell quiet again. She looked back at the document. Under state law, if a direct heir is living, competent, and not disinherited for legal cause, they cannot be forced out of their share without clear, informed consent. Since Miss Monroe does not consent and has not signed any waiver, this petition cannot proceed as written. My parents both sagged slightly, like the air had left their bodies. Madison stared at the floor. Then the judge added something that cut even deeper, because it was bare truth. "Furthermore, I find it concerning that your daughter learned of this arrangement from the court rather than from you. That is not a legal issue, but it is a moral one." That sentence was the emotional slap they had coming, and I will admit, a cold part of me enjoyed watching it land. The judge dismissed the petition. "Any future estate planning," she said, "must involve proper disclosure and consenting signatures, or it would be challenged and likely overturned." Then she looked at me one more time. "Miss Monroe, you are under no obligation to sign anything you do not want to sign." I nodded. "Thank you, Your Honor." When we stepped out into the hallway, the door shut behind us with a heavy sound. The three of them stood together. I stood a few feet away, putting a literal space between us that matched the emotional one. It was my mother who approached first. Her voice shook. "Alyssa, how could you do this to us?" Those words told me everything I needed to know. In her eyes, they were the victims. I was the attacker. I tilted my head slightly. I just told the truth. I did not hide anything from a judge. Maybe you are asking the wrong person how they could do this. Dad joined us. His face looked older than I remembered, lined with worry. We thought we were doing the right thing, he said. We thought you had your own life. That you did not care about this. I stared at him. You did not think I cared about my parents cutting me out of their will and giving everything to a cousin who disappears until she needs money. You thought that would not matter. Madison finally walked over, her arms folded tightly. This is not just about you, Alyssa, she muttered. I need help too. I turned to her. You do. And you are an adult. You can get a job. You can work. You can stop using my parents as a financial safety net. They helped you. That was their choice. But taking my place, my security, my future, that is not help. That is theft dressed up as charity. Her mouth tightened and she looked away. My revenge could have been loud. I could have screamed. I could have listed every loan Madison never repaid. Every night I spent at my parents' house after surgeries and illnesses. Every phone call I answered when they were scared about bills or medications. But I did not. That day, my revenge shifted from emotional to something colder, cleaner. I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder. Inside, neatly stacked, were copies of documents I had spent several late nights preparing with a lawyer friend. I handed them to my father. What is this? He asked, confused. This, I said quietly, is me taking control, since you clearly tried to take it from me. I have filed notices with every institution that holds accounts tied to my name or future rights. No changes can be made without my direct approval, in writing, in person. The house title was always set to transfer to me under the old plan. I have updated that with my own attorney. The cabin will go into a trust. I will manage it. My mother blinked. A trust. Controlled by who? By me, I answered. You will have the right to live in your home as long as you are alive. You will be provided for. You will not be thrown out. I am not heartless. But you will not be allowed to secretly sign things away to people who have not earned it. You broke my trust. So I built a legal one. My father flipped through the pages slowly, realizing what they meant. My mother's eyes filled with tears. Alyssa, this is extreme. I shook my head. No. What you did was extreme. You tried to erase me while I was still alive, still here, still showing up for you. You wanted to handle the estate alone. The court just reminded you that you cannot. You need me. And now, I am setting the rules. My voice softened then, because I meant what I said next. I am not doing this to punish you. I am doing this to protect myself. And honestly, to protect you too. From your own bad decisions. My dad closed the folder. His shoulders slumped. He looked at me with something like shame in his eyes. We did not realize how much we were hurting you. That was the emotional part. The part where they finally saw it. The cold part came next. I stepped back, putting more distance between us. Here is how this is going to work, I said. I will continue to help. I will visit. I will call. You will not be abandoned. But any conversation about money, assets, property, goes through me. No more secret signatures. No more side deals. No more quiet favors to Madison or anyone else that put my future at risk. If you try it again, I will not stop at blocking papers. I will walk away. Completely. Emotionally. Permanently. My mother looked horrified. You would not. I met her eyes. I would. Because I may be your daughter, but I am also a person. And I am done being the easy option you assume will always be fine while you hand out pieces of our life to people who have not earned them. The hallway went quiet. Even Madison, who usually had something clever or defensive to say, stayed silent. She understood something in that moment too. The free ride was over. In the months that followed, my parents changed. Not overnight, and not perfectly, but enough that I saw effort. They stopped giving money to Madison. She disappeared again, this time for good. My parents started looping me in on decisions, sometimes awkwardly, but honestly. There were still wounds. There were still days when I remembered the letter and felt that sting of betrayal. But now those memories sat inside a different frame. Because in the end, my revenge was not about hurting them. It was about making sure they could never put me in that position again. It was a mix of heart and ice, emotion and control. I let them feel my hurt. I let them see what they almost lost. Then I took the power they tried to quietly remove, and I locked it in my hands for good. My name is still on every document that matters. When my parents pass one day, their estate will come to me in the way it was always meant to. And if I choose to share any of it with anyone else, including Madison, it will be on my terms, not as some secret arrangement signed in quiet offices behind my back. Sometimes revenge is not fire and screaming. Sometimes it is a clear voice in a courtroom. Sometimes it is a signature withheld. Sometimes it is a stack of documents slid across a hallway to the people who underestimated you. Sometimes it is simple. You do not get to decide my worth behind my back. If you saw yourself in any part of this, if your family ever made you feel like you were invisible because you were the strong one, I am sorry you know that pain. You deserve better. And if you want more stories like this, more quiet storms and calm revenge, stay with me. Like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notifications, because there are more stories coming, and I want you here when they do.